All right. Let's start in kneeling on the mat. I'm just facing the side so I can face you, but you can be in any direction. And just place your hands on the mat beside the knees, just to the outside of the knees, and shift your weight into one wrist, then the other wrist. Just keeping my arms straight. Good. And then turn your hands so that the fingers are pointing forwards. Fingers are pointing forwards. Press into the hands and then press into the tops of the feet and see if you can lift the knees a little bit off the floor. Good. And then just go ahead and put them back down. So we're going to be lifting and lowering. Of course, if you can't hold the lift, then just bring it right back down and try again. And just going in and out and feeling that stretch at the top of your ankle. And a rounding of your low back as you lift the knees. Also waking up the core. You're going to come to tabletop. And in tabletop, just shift it side to side. Place your right knee in the middle of your mat. So it's going to shift a little bit in. And then snuggle your left knee behind the right knee. So if I were on a clock where my head is at 12 o'clock, my right foot is at about 7 or 8, and my left foot is at 6. Okay? And then sit your bum back towards the heel. Any amount. I'm not going to quite make it to the heels. I'm just going to go as far as I feel I can. And then shift forward back towards the table. And then sit again. Just coming in and out. You might feel more pull at the outer hips. Back in the center, change the cross of the legs. So left knee in the middle, right knee snuggles behind the left. My right foot will be pointing at 6, and my left foot will be pointing at about 4 or 5 o'clock. Sitting back as far as you feel you can, and then coming forward. And if you like the sensation sitting back, you can hold there. Okay, and then when we come back to the top, we'll just uncross the legs, tuck the toes under, and then float the knees off the floor. So floating tabletop, hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Downward facing dog. So adjusting your length, so your comfortable downward dog length. Straight arms, maybe bent knees, maybe lifted heels. And see if you can elongate the side body by pulling the hips further up and back. Lifting your heels, ripple forward towards a plank position, so your shoulders are over your wrists or fingertips. Good, send it back again. Lift your heels, ripple forward towards that plank. And then send it back. Last time, ripple forward. Hold it up at the front of your plank. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down dog. Right leg, take it up and bend the knee, open the hip. See if you can pull that right knee up towards the sky. Notice if you're twisting through the chest. See if you can keep the chest facing the mat. Both arms remain straight. And then bring your right knee to touch your left arm. Squeeze it in. Good. Go all the way back up. Open the hip. And then come in and squeeze. Again, towards the left arm. Last time, up. And then come in and touch the left. Hold it there. Good. Take it all the way back up. Open hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the right foot to the floor. Left leg up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Try to keep your arms straight and your chest facing the floor. Left knee aimed straight up towards the ceiling. Bring the knee to touch the right arm. And then take it all the way back up. Open the hip when you go back. Come in and touch. And then pull it all the way up and back. Last time we're going to come in. Hold it there. And then take it all the way up. Hold it open. Push the arms straight. And then bring the foot to the floor. If you need to take a rest or pause or child's pose, take a break. If you're feeling okay, just stay where you are. See if you can find that stillness in your downward dog. Shift the body forward to plank and lower onto your front. Hands on the floor outside of your mat, fingertips. Baby Cobra. And lower. Baby Cobra. And lower. Baby Cobra hold. Press into the fingers, lift a little higher. Any amount that you want to straighten the arms is fine. Think of the elbow creases turning forward. And then slowly come down. And use a little bit of resistance to the upper body to lower slowly. Bring the hands beside your ribs, maybe even under your chest. And then come into a cobra, with the arms closer to you and the palms flat. Lift your chest. And now rock a little bit to the right and then to the left. And now as you turn, look over your left shoulder and feel a little bit more curve through the front right hip, more opening through the front right hip. And then look over your right shoulder and same thing, feel it at the front of your left hip now. Try to keep your chest lifting and pulling back. Good, and then coming back to your center, lower all the way down onto your front. Stacking your hands underneath your chin. You can also be mouth down on your hands. If you have your mouth down, you'll have a more neutral neck position. I'm going to keep my head a little bit lifted and my chin on the hands so that I can still project my voice. So feel free to put your mouth down though. Press into the front of your hips and lift the legs. Open your toes. And then bring it back down. Do it again, lift. Keep the lift. And then bend the knees. Try not to lower the knees. So as you bend the knees, lift them higher. Bottoms of the feet open to the ceiling. Keep lifting. And then let it come down. Take breath in. Full breath out. Place the hands beside the ribs. A little bit lower than before if your hands were under the shoulders. And this time you're coming to upward dog. So upward dog is the same as Cobra, except for your thighs are off the floor. So you want to press into the tops of the feet. Okay, so the thighs are off the floor. Good. Feel what you notice here through the front abdominal wall, from the hips, and then just lower the hips and the thighs and come all the way down. We're going to do it again, and this time with toes tucked. Okay, so you may prefer this. You might find there's a little more control. We're going to try it again. Roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest, first Cobra, and then lift the thighs, upward dog. But like when the feet, the tops of the feet were on the floor, still press through the toes to feel that the front of the thighs and hips can open. So it's not just resting, you're actually actively pressing down. Slowly lower the hips and come all the way to the floor. You can stack your hands underneath your chin again, bend the knees, just side to side with the legs, flip-flop them just to release any tension. We're gonna go again, this time adding some side to side from your upward dog. If it's too much, right, you can do tops of the feet on the floor rather than toes tucked under, or you can keep your thighs on the floor, your hips on the floor, and do it from Cobra. It'll look like the one that we've already done. Okay, so let's straighten the legs, tuck the toes, place the hands beside the ribs. Lift first to Cobra, and then to up dog. So your toes are tucked under perhaps, and your thighs are off the floor. Your feet are at least a hip width apart, if you're choosing this version. Turn your toes to one side, doesn't matter which side, and look over the shoulder. Good, switch. So you're gonna go side to side, make it at your own pace, okay? And as you go side to side, maybe you can keep the hip off the floor. Keep trying to pull your chest back. And if it feels good to hold in the twist, holding in the twist. Maybe one more set or completing the set that you're in. And then when you're back at center, you can lower the hips and then lower the body down. You can stack your hands underneath your chin or under your chest, bend the knees, and again, a little wibble wobble to release any tension. Also relax the quads of the legs. All right, straighten out the legs here. Hands press into the floor beside the chest, and you can push into your knees as well. Child's pose. And if it feels better to stay more in neutral, rather than going back to child's, you can just stay in table. So options. Take a few breaths. All right, downward facing dog. Your right foot steps to the right hand, left knee to the ground. Inhale the arms up. Bend into the front knee, deepening the lunge. Good, and then straighten the front leg. Fingertips can come to the floor or to blocks, and then reaching the chest forward. And think about flat back. Good, bend the front knee, come into the lunge, and then straighten the front leg. Last time, bend the front knee, and then straighten the front leg. Really good, bend the front knee, arms come up. You're gonna place your left hand towards the outer right knee. So you're going across. With the right hand, you're gonna reach back, pause there, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So option here to bend the left knee and catch the foot with the right hand. Okay, so the right hand's catching the left foot. You can shift a little bit forward, but still keep your chest up, right? So you want to feel you're in control, you're not spilling forward. And then more option to lift the left arm. Try to feel the front of the left hip pressing forward. Maybe you can press the top of your left foot down into the hand, providing a bit of stretch through the front right chest. And think of sitting your outer right hip down. Slowly lower the left hand back to the knee. If you did catch the foot, release it and put the hands on the floor. We're going to step back, downward dog. Take a moment. I'm adding in a flow. If you want to skip it, skip it. Otherwise, plank, lower, upward, and downward. The left foot steps to the left hand and right knee to the mat. Inhale, arms up. Bend into the front knee. So even though I'm going forward, knee past toe, I'm still trying to keep the chest upright. Good, pull it back, hands come forward. And your hands could also rest on your leg if you're finding it too far to get to the mat. Bend the front knee. And then hands to the floor. And as you practice, you'll be able to move a little bit more smoothly and with control. So moving slowly will actually challenge you more. Get hands to the floor. This time when we come up, hands up, we're going to bring right hand to left knee. Left hand reaches back. Just pause there. Trying to feel your chest open and a tall posture through the spine so you're not tipping forward. So if you're feeling pretty good here and bending the right knee doesn't make sense for you, then skip it. If you'd like, bend the right knee and see if you can catch the foot with the left hand. Okay, so this might be enough already. If you'd also like to add more reach through the right arm up. Now press the top of your right foot into the left hand while you send the right front hip forward. And so there's a bit of balance. You can see that arc that you're creating down the whole right side body. There's a bit of twist happening as well. Try to stay with it. And then right hand back to the left knee. Release the foot from the hand. Hands to the mat will step back and add flow if you'd like. Plank, low, upward, and downward. Take a moment, take a breath. Looking to your hands, you can step, walk, or jump behind the wrists. So that means feet a little bit wider than together, maybe hip width even. Come into low squat. So if it means turning your feet out a bit or lifting your heels, that's okay. Hands to heart. Push your knees open if you can. And then draw your tail slightly back so you're not collapsed at the bottom. You're still keeping it a bit elevated and active. So you can hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Forward fold, let your head go down. Release and relax. And then we're going to cross the legs. So just take a moment looking at where your feet are positioned. We're going to take the right foot, step it behind the left foot, maybe even off the mat here, and then walk your hands to recenter. If you don't have the space and you want to just keep it on your mat, just cross the right foot behind the left And when you do the X or the cross, you still want your big toes on the same front line. So I'm not stepping behind and then the foot and the leg is actually behind. It's just around back to be beside on the other side. Fold in half. And again, for some of us, blocks are going to be helpful. It might be harder to fold in with the cross of the leg. More stretchy, hamstringed people, maybe send a tiny bit of weight towards the toes. Maybe you push more into the ball of the big toe. Relax your head and upper body. And then as you lift your chest, come back to the middle of the mat, if you stepped off the mat. And we'll take the left foot to the outside and onto the floor beside the mat. So now we're left leg wrapped behind the right in an X position. Big toes still on the same front line, okay? And then fold in. Notice what happens when you draw your navel up and in, if that helps give you a little bit more space to fold. Inhale, lift the chest, come back onto your mat. So parallel feet. Soften the knees and inhale, stand. I'm going to keep my arms up and even take them a little wide and then press the hips forward for a standing back bend. Bring the arms forward. Start to sit into chair. So your hips are back. Your chest is lifted. Chair pose can be high, it can be low. And then see if you can come all the way down to the floor. So if you need to place your hands on the mat to land nicely, then you do. Make sure you have space behind you. So depending on your setup, you might have to scoot forward. Just want to make sure that when you go down, you're not going to hit yourself on anything. And then cross the ankles right over left. You can lower the arms a little bit here. You're sitting up like a boat pose, Navasana. Chest is lifted. That's it. But the ankles are crossed, so I'm right over left. Press the feet forward, low boat. Keep your shoulder blades off the floor. Feel like you could pull your feet apart and then zip it up. Go down and come up. Go down and come up. Stay up. Cross the other way. So I have left over right. So the idea I'm thinking here, squeezing inner thighs but pulling feet apart. Good. Lengthen and up. Down, up. Let's do one more. And up. Good job. Place your feet parallel. Take a moment, take a breath. Huge breath in, huge breath out. I try to sit up tall while I breathe. If that's too much and you need to recline, that's okay too. I'm going to be crossing the ankles to roll into a flow. So if that doesn't suit you, you can just step over your knees from tabletop and go into downward dog. Otherwise, I'm going to cross the ankles. Doesn't matter which cross you take. I'm going to rock back slightly. I'm going to roll over, good, press into the outer edges of the feet, and then pop back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, and downward facing dog. Just allowing yourself to settle. Right foot steps. Let's go high lunge. Warrior two. So you'll turn out with the left heel and widen the arms. Reach forward through the right arm. We're gonna come into side angle. So you can place your elbow to the knee or fingertips to the floor, your choice, but keep the right hand or right elbow light. As I look down, bring the left hand to the floor under the shoulder and come to the outer edges of the feet. So spin all of the toes to the right. Heels will be to the left. Reach your right hand up, look up. Totally optional, stay where you are. Or maybe work to straighten the front leg. You might come onto fingertips or even a block. So trying to straighten both legs, or in this case, I'm adding the straighten of the right leg. Left leg was already straight. Keep trying to turn your chest open so the right hand is reaching for the sky. And then as you bring your right hand back down to the floor, step back, down dog. Resting or flowing, plank, low, upward, and downward. Left foot steps, high lunge. Take your time to set up your distance, your spacing. Warrior two, I'm turning my right heel down and opening the arms. Reach forward as far as you can with the left hand. Either elbow to knee or fingertips to floor or side angle. Keep your legs strong and your core engaged. That will help make the left hand light. As you look down, place the right hand under the shoulder and turn all of the toes to the left, heels to the right. I'm on the outer edges of my feet. I'm really flexing strongly through the ankles. You think of reaching your left knee out to the left, it definitely intensifies the outer left hip stretch. Now, option here, stay or work to straighten your left leg. I find I need to come onto fingertips of my right hand. You might want to be on a block with your right hand. Still leaning back with the chest. Still kind of on the edges of my feet. As I look down, left hand to the mat, bend that left knee and step it back, down dog. Add in a flow, plank, low, upward, and downward. Looking to your hands, step rock or jump behind your wrists. Inhale, lift your chest halfway up and forward fold in. Inhale to stand, coming up, and hands down. I'm going to face you, so I'm turning to the side of the mat. You can stay facing any direction that works well for you. I'm going to twist. Okay, so standing twist. Let's start with weight in the left leg. And with the left leg strong, we're going to bring the right knee up. Okay, so you can work with the bent knee or a straight leg. So let's just start with the bent knee to begin. And I'm going to bring my right hand to my low back. So let this be sort of the starting point. And if this is where you want to keep it, just staying here. If you'd like to deepen or have a straight right leg, you can reach towards the outside of the right foot and press it forward. You still want to keep the outer right hip heavy. You might reach back with the right hand. It's entirely optional. Try not to send the right foot across the body, but keeping it in front of the right hip. And then you can just release and let it go. I'm going to go to the other side. So we're going to be standing into the right foot, bending the left knee. Again, you might be working to a straight leg, in which case you'll hold on to the foot. If not, stay with the bent knee. I'm going to keep my left hand on the low back to start. And I usually take a few breaths just in the foundation to feel that I have my balance and I'm feeling confident in this moment, right? It might change tomorrow or earlier or later. So I was just wanting to check in first. If you are going to look for the foot, hold the outer edge of the foot, work to straighten the leg. You might have to fight for it. Good, sink your outer left hip. Keep the foot in front of the hip. So if you pull the foot across the body, like towards the right, it will be unsteady. That's kind of what happened to me there. And then if you feel good, try to straighten the legs. Bending the knee, come back. Take a mountain pose. You might close your eyes. Breathing in, breathing out. And then I'm going to face you for this. We're still working on our balance. I'm going to take the right leg. So again, left leg is going to be our balancing leg or our stability leg. Right knee bends, but I'm placing the foot behind the leg. Yeah, so I'm balancing but taking the leg behind. Again, I'm not in front, I'm behind. Okay, when you go behind, see if you can catch with the left hand. So you got to grab behind. That's it. So it kind of crunches your left side. Now as you take the right knee outwards, so out to the side this way, think of dancers and lift your chest. You can keep your right arm out for balance. You might catch the right shin. Okay, so I'm going to come out and turn to the side, but you keep holding. So I'm catching behind, finding the shin, and then I open. You can lower your chest however much your left hamstring will allow. And then just come on up, let it go. And we'll do the same on the other side. So just allow yourself to come back to neutral, a nice mountain pose in between. Let all those internal waves settle before. And then we'll do the other side. So just to demonstrate again, I'm standing in my right, and I'm taking the foot behind and I'm catching with the hand behind. So like that. So standing in the right foot, catch the left, and take the left hand out to the side. You can keep the left hand out to the side as well. For some people, reaching for the shin is a lot. take the knee back. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be just enough for you to feel challenged in your balance. If you feel you can take the knee further out, you might catch any part of the leg. If you have long arms, you might even get to the knee. You can stay upright. You can tilt forward. Wherever you are, come on out. Let it go. Again, recover in a mountain pose. And inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold. We're going to flow here. Inhale, flat back. Hands to the mat. Step back, plank. Low plank. Upward facing. And downward facing. So if you need more recovery, please take it. You come into a little bit of back bending, but from the floor. Shift forward to plank. We're going to lower, let's say to a count of 8. So very slowly. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. You're all the way down. Let's take the right arm out to the side. So the right arm is, let's say, about shoulder height. Could be a little bit lower, depending on if you're comfortable in your shoulder, if you've had any injuries. Left fingertips to the floor, so I'm just propping a little higher on the left hand. I'm going to pick up the left leg and then take it across and behind. Now here, if it's comfortable to you, right, you're either stepping left foot flat and reaching the left knee open. You could also just have that left leg reaching, or you might bring the right foot to the floor as well. So it starts to look like your hips are facing up while your chest is facing the side. Of course, don't force it. If you feel any sharpness or intensity that doesn't feel good through your right shoulder, then definitely back off. Head can be up or head can be down. And then we're going to come back. So I'll straighten my right leg if I did bend it, and then just roll back onto your front. Okay, so same on the other side. And go out with the left arm. Again, it could be a little bit more down, depending on the comfort of your shoulder. Fingertip on the right hand. Lift the right leg. Bend the knee. And then go ahead and try to step it to the floor behind you, reaching the right knee wide. And this could be enough. If it feels like a good idea, step the left foot also onto the floor. Almost thinking that your legs were starting to come into a bridge position, right? Not through the lift of the hip, but just through the positioning of the feet, hip width and toes pointing forward. So we're getting a shoulder opening here. You might be getting a deep twist through your mid to low back as well, depending on your leg position. Try to relax into it. And then we'll straighten the left leg if you did bend it and come back onto the front. Really good. Take a breath, take a rest. So working a bit on upward bow. I'm going to do first a standard upward bow just to get the sensation and the feeling and to have something to fall back on if our variation that comes after isn't working for you. So again, just noting that it is a progression and not having to do all of the suggestions. Working on the one just before is totally fine. So if I bend the knees, right, I'm going to press the hips into the floor. Right, I'm not even lifting my chest. I'm just pressing my hips into the floor. I'll lift the chest like I'm doing baby cobra, and then reach the arms back. I'm palms facing in, and I'm gonna look for the tops of my feet. Right, maybe the ankles even, if you can reach down to your ankle. From here, keep pressing the front of the hip into the floor. Start to reach the feet back towards the hands to help lift the chest. Keep your knees about a hip width apart if possible. Make sure you can continue breathing. You're not holding your breath. You're also not blowing your belly out into the ground. And just look for slow progress, right? So I'm not jerking up. I'm not pulling really, really hard. I'm just looking for this continual effort in my body. Slowly lower. Let go of the feet. You can stack your hands and turn your head to the side. And just relax. Okay, so I'm going to go for a crossed leg version of bow. Again, if it's hard to reach your feet, you might want to go back to our standard bow, right? You might want to do hands free and keep the cross of the legs, just not hold with your hands, and that's also okay. So something to try, but again, yours might not look like the next person, and that's okay. So I'm still on my front. I'm gonna bend the knees and cross the lower leg. And for me right now, I'm crossing the right leg on the underneath and the left one is on top. It doesn't matter. We will be doing both. Just make sure you remember which one you're doing right now if you're not doing right under, okay? You can think of lifting the chest a little bit like your baby cobra, and then press your hips down and just see if you can catch opposite feet behind you. Like I said, not everyone will be able to reach their feet, and that's okay. When you're ready, start to lift and press back. Think of pressing the front of your hips open. And slowly bring yourself down. Okay, and then just relax and rest. You can turn your head the other way. If you feel tension in your low back, sometimes wobbling the hips side to side kind of shakes that off. Find that just being still helps any of those tingles and sensations dissipate. And then we're going to go again, and we're going to cross the other leg underneath. So for me, it's going to be left underneath and right over. And you're just crossing through the lower leg. And start with a lift in the chest, thinking of baby cobra, reaching back, find the feet. And the closer you can reach towards the ankle, the less torque on the foot, right? So if you can reach lower, reach lower. Pressing into the front hip. Start to feel the legs kick up and press back. You don't have to strain the neck, so just keep your gaze relaxed and a little bit forward. And slow release. Right, so your effort is like a slow, continual effort that feels challenging, but is not at all jarring and not sudden, right? There's no sudden kick. It's just this continual effort that makes it feel challenging. You're holding that edge, and you can breathe through it. So you find that you have this endurance that you didn't know maybe before that you had. So we're gonna go one last time in a regular upward bow. And if you are tired of doing, well, maybe you're doing about 3 times the regular one and you just need a rest, or it's been a lot, then feel free to skip it out. So legs are parallel, and bend the knees, lift the chest, right? Again, using the strength of the back, co-find the ankles or the feet, and then lift. And slowly come down. Let's take a rest. So bow pose, I know we don't practice it as much as maybe bridge and maybe some other back bends. It's a really nice place to work on your back bending, right? There's no need for balance. And then it really encourages you to find, like I said, that slow burn of effort, right? Not panicking, looking for the strength because you're working against gravity. So it definitely contributes to all of those other back bends that you might be more familiar with. I'm going to take the hands underneath the shoulders, the chest, and push back. You can stay in table. I'm going to stay in table, but you can also go to child's pose if you want a bit more counter pose. Couple options here. So we did a similar shape in the beginning. Right knee in the middle, left knee in behind. Now, if you feel you can swing the left foot wider and then hips back like a child's pose. So it's like hips back as though you could sit to the space between your feet. Try that. And this may be a good place to stop if you want to sit into that space between the feet. And again, not everyone is going to feel comfortable to go there. If you do want to sit, you can sit and lean forward. So any amount of cow face pose that works for you. And don't be shy to have a rounded back here. I like to think of my feet as being, we're working towards more symmetry. So it might sort of naturally have your left foot close to the hip. Try to pull it out or forward, just like the right one. So sitting isn't necessarily better than a child's pose version. What I do want is you to feel, relaxed, but also some stretch. And sometimes intensity gets in our way. So that's why um, what is quote unquote the harder version is not always the best version. Just depends on your body. You're gonna shift forward or back if you're having trouble coming forward. Just recline and take the legs out of that position to change. Left in front, right knee behind. Okay, so you might have your right foot straight back at 6 o'clock. If you can open it out to 7 or 8 o'clock, you do. And then just send your bum back like a child's pose. And just sit there for a breath, see how it feels. If you decide it is possible for you today to sit down on the floor between the feet and bring that right foot more forward, right, not closer to you, but more forward, you might take a seated cow face pose. Any amount you want to lean forward or round forward is great. Meet the resistance in your hip. So meet it with breath. Right? Feel where it stops, right? And just don't necessarily challenge it, but just be comfortable with what your body's giving you. And we're gonna just come up. I'm gonna recline so that I can kick my legs free. And I'm gonna ease myself back to lie down. So we're coming to our final rest. our final shavasana. And if you'd like to set yourself up with props, perhaps blocks under your thighs, legs up the wall position, um, even a seated position if you do not want to be lying down, it's totally okay. Maybe works better for you. Just make sure that you are in a shape, a position that you can sustain for a few minutes of relaxation and you won't be distracted. Notice how it feels on the shoulders and the hips. If there is anything that you felt that you need to do, or perhaps some kind of movements to really get yourself eased in, to be able to stay in some stillness, then you might add in more movement. Yeah. See if you can get your mental space to match the relaxation and the calm that you feel in your body. Slowly bringing your awareness back to the body, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, moving the arms and the legs. Maybe arms reach up overhead as the heels slide together to get a full stretch. Knees to chest as you roll to the side. You might stay on your side. And if you feel good, you might come on up to sit. Thank you so much for sharing your day with me. Thank you for your energy, for practicing yoga, and especially for all of your efforts. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.